Guys, welcome back in another video tutorial from microbiology with Shagrik. So in this video tutorial we are going to continue our ELISA lecture series that we have talked about for a very long time. Okay, so we are talking about direct ELISA, and we have started about this topic in the second video lecture of ELISA, where we have talked about that direct ELISA have two main problem. One is specificity, another one is sensitivity. Sensitivity is when we are dealing with a very complex sample containing multiple antigens. That means in microdata well there will be multiple antigens along with your antigen of interest. Okay, so only primary antibody find it difficult to produce a very higher intensified result. Okay, so that is the reason why we have developed a second procedure that we have termed what? We have termed indirect ELISA, where along with primary antibody we have used a secondary antibody which is linked with enzyme that gives us colored product. Okay, so the intensity of the result is increased. Okay, not only that, we have learned that enzyme linked antibody have lower affinity towards antigen. That is why the indirect ELISA also solved that problems too, because here secondary antibody is enzyme linked and primary antibody is only served as a bridge between our antigen and secondary enzyme linked antibody. Okay, so that is what we have talked about in our previous video. So in this video we are going to solve the problem regarding specificity. So what is the problem? The problem is we all know that in the surface of antigen there is a thing, or you can say small part of the antigen that are present are called epitope. Okay, so what is this epitope? This epitope is the portion of antigen that is going to react with antibody. Okay, so now the fact is, suppose you have a antigen B, you have a antigen L. Okay, now this is the portion of epitope. So as you can see that these two epitopic portions are identical, so the antibody that are specific for B can be also specific, can also be specific towards L2. So what is the idea? Suppose these two epitope that I have told you, that a small portion of antigen, it is termed epitope, going to react with antibody. So as these two small portion of antibody, because we have considered B and L as antigens, so these two portion going to react with the same antibody because they are quite identical. So in that case, if we are going to use direct ELISA, okay, with the help of only one primary antibody which is enzyme linked, we are not going to distinguish our desired antigen. Suppose our desired antigen is B, but primary antibody also show result regarding L2. So for solving that problem we have developed another procedure that is called sandwich ELISA, where we are going to counter our antigen with two different epitopes. Okay, because remember one thing, suppose if this is the antigenic molecule, in their surface there will be multiple epitopes. Okay, and on the basis of number of epitopes we have developed a term called valency. Okay, so they are multivalent antigen, or you can say polyvalent antigen. Okay, so now let's see what happens. So in that indirect ELISA, this is our microtiter well. So we are going to add here first antibody. Okay, instead of antigen that we are using in those previous methods. Okay, so these antibodies will be termed as immobilized antibody. immobilized antibodies or captured antibodies. Okay, then we have to apply a washing step so that the antibody that cannot immobilized on the surface of the microtiter plate will be washed away. Okay, now we are going to add our sample containing antigen of interest, and this antigen of interest will going to bind with this immobilized or carrier antibody by their specific epitopes. Okay, now we have also, there will be also a blocking agent. This blocking agent will discard the chance of false result. Okay, now as our antigen is bind with our primary antibody, now we are going to apply washing step again so that any unbound antigen that are there will be removed. Now we are going to add secondary antibody that will be enzyme linked. Now we are going to add some colorless substrate that in presence of enzyme converted into colorful product. Okay, as usual. So this intensity of color is measured, and this measurement will give us idea about our target antigen. Okay, so this step will be termed, up to this step the sandwich ELISA will be termed as direct sandwich ELISA. Okay, but after this step, if we perform the sandwich ELISA in a different way, because sandwich ELISA is of two types, one is direct ELISA, another one direct sandwich ELISA, and another one is indirect sandwich ELISA. If you have watched my previous video regarding ELISA where I have explained all the ELISA technique within 10 minutes, so you have an idea about what is direct sandwich ELISA and what is indirect sandwich ELISA. Okay, so indirect sandwich ELISA is something like that. So in that indirect sandwich ELISA, we are going to again add a colorless substrate, and which will give us product, colorless substrate which will give us second product. So in that case, in the secondary antibody is also not enzyme linked. Okay, the secondary antibody here is also not enzyme linked. Instead we are going to use a third antibody, a third antibody. This third antibody will be enzyme linked and it will give a color product. Okay, so that is what indirect sandwich ELISA is. So what is the utility of indirect sandwich ELISA, and what is the difference between direct sandwich ELISA and indirect sandwich ELISA? So indirect sandwich ELISA, along with specificity, it also ensure about sensitivity. Okay, because as I have told you as a disadvantage of direct ELISA, that a enzyme linked antibody will interact with antigen with a lower specificity, right? But here this antibody also only play a role of connecting bridge between the enzyme linked antibody and the antigen, right? So that is the reason why indirect ELISA ensures both sensitivity and specificity. But in case of direct ELISA, it only, direct sandwich ELISA, it only have the ability to ensure specificity but not sensitivity. Okay, so that is the overall idea for today's class, that was about sandwich ELISA. Okay, so I hope you have learned it very well. Thank you. And I want to also see you, I want to also show you about sandwich ELISA in a theoretical manner so that you can take a screenshot about this too. Okay, so that is all about, and if you face any problem regarding the topics, then you can ask me in the comment box. Okay, thank you.